videos, apparently stopped. I'm just thinking in regards of plurality, because one of the arguments against the plurality of Elohim, in regards to the scriptures, is that, and usually it's translated plural, sometimes in regards of, it's translated correctly, sometimes when it's not about God, Jehovah. But then some of the arguments is that, in regards of the pagans' gods, that Elohim is used as well. In regards of the pagan, different pagan gods, talking about singular. But, just thinking about it, the research that I've done, we know that there is a pagan trinity, a plurality, it seems, a trinity, where you have the moon and the sun and Venus. And going back to Samaria, and you have it in Assyria and Babylonia, it was like I think it was the Akkadians as well, and also the Hittites. I think you could find it as well. Anyway, this pagan plurality trinity goes, in many of the old societies. So again, I wonder in regards of when they then use plurality in regards of pagan gods. Maybe it's because, they also believed in, this plural thing, in regards of the, where they have a female deity inside the triad trinity, And then, of course, it would make sense if it actually would be written like plural in the scriptures, I would think. I don't know, But it is plural in the Hebrew, and not singular. So, in any case, so I think there's a good reason to actually translate as plural, as it is sometimes done, because they take the context, and when they can see it's talking about more, they will use plural, and yet other places they will use the singular. Why not be consistent with that, and let the reader decide for himself, how he will interpret the things. Anyway, it's just, so that could be, I don't know, but it could be a reason why, why we have plurality in regards of pagan, gods, different places as well, where they also is pointed as singular. But, again, the thing is, if you look into the images, we have these clay images that they have rolls, and they can roll it out on the clay, and you have an image. It's the way of making photos in the past, apparently, and they're still working. If you can find one of these rolls, you can still roll it out. They're pretty good. It's thousands and thousands of years old. It's like giving us a glimpse into the past. Anyway, but yeah, you see this triad or trinity with the moon and the sun and Venus. They have different names and all that, but the three symbols are, you can see these three symbols going, because they're symbolized as symbols and sometimes as characters, and you see these symbols again and again and again and again and again and again. You just look it up. You can, it's just hundreds and hundreds of images, and there's probably more. There's probably a lot more that I haven't seen. I just probably seen the tip of the iceberg in some sense. Probably less than that. So when the Bible talks about plurality, maybe it's because, maybe there's already, maybe the pagans also believe in a, pagan triad, so anyway, just a thought. Because I have been thinking about it, because this is one of the arguments that people will use, in regards, in regards to Elohim, it's also used for, one singular pagan god, and we use as a, there's still the Bible in Hebrew use plural. Yeah, but what if that pagan god is actually part of the triad? What if it's the moon god or the sun god or the Venus god and all that is part of a trinity, pagan trinity with a female deity in it. Just an interesting thought, I thought. Of course, there's other trinities. Apparently, there's at least one more that I know of. But that's not. It doesn't seem like it's so. It's not. It doesn't seem like the symbols of that trinity is. You can probably find something, but mostly that the trinity that seems to come again and again and again on these Sumerian photos or Babylonians or Akkadians or Hittites and all that. I guess most of the pictures I've seen is from Sumeria, but there are different places and all that. And you have this going. Actually, you also find symbols in Israel. I found one of the symbols where they had the moon and the sun. Now it was a little deterred and all that. So, or maybe it was Venus actually in the middle. Or maybe it's all three together in one thing. Where you have the moon, it's, that was upward, and usually you find it below, and you find a disc in it, or a disc with Venus, or whatever. All this pagan bullshit. And, interesting. So that's interesting. So maybe the Bible in Hebrew actually talks about plurality, while it's actually only talking about, a specific God, because there's already plurality in that pagan God, I don't know. Just a thought. Now, looking at the pagan bullshit that is out there, that they were already running around and doing, and that we're still doing in our days, it's all around us. We don't perceive it. We have all this pagan nonsense all around us. Yeah, just look at Roman Catholicism, and there you have all, just pretty much the pinnacle, I would guess, pinnacle of paganism, pretty much. And then they clothe it in sheep clothing, yeah. Anyway, they worship a cookie. You give me a break, a cookie. They worship a cookie. And they worship so-called Mary. And you have the pagan trinity in Roman Catholicism as well, just in front of our eyes, I had a photo of so-called Mary sitting on the mercy seat with the moon underneath her and the sun in her breast. Why would so-called Mary sit on the mercy seat of, and have a moon underneath of her and a sun in her breast, a solar disc, the cookie Jesus and all that. You give me a break, and I was looking at this, and I was looking, okay, so I'm beginning to look for these things, So I've been looking at the Sumerian pictures and whatever there is out there that I've been able to find here and there, and trying to sort this triad or trinity out. If you search on Shamash, you will find information, you can find a lot of information here and there, and in regards of, and they have many different names, they're the Queen of Heaven, in regards of Venus, is known by many, many names, like Inanna or Ishtar, and it looks like also so-called Mary. Anyway, so I was looking for these signs, here and there and all that, and lo and behold, this image of so-called Mary on the ark, representing the ark, right? She's sitting on the mercy seat. Interesting. Why would she be sitting on the mercy seat? Oh, well, because Roman Catholics are totally into worshipping the devil through a female, deity, Queen of Heaven bullshit. Anyway, so I'm looking at this, and the so-called Mary sitting there and there you have the moon and all that, and you have the sun in her breast and all that, and I'm thinking, so the moon goddess there, that's Nana or Sin, different names and all that. And you have the sun, you have the cookie in her breast and sun rays around it, So I'm looking there, okay, so we have the moon and we have the sun. So I'm like looking at this. So where's the star? Where's Venus, She's just sitting there in front of me. I'm not realizing it. And I'm sitting there, where's the star? There has to be a star, If this has, there must be a star somewhere. And I'm not realizing that just in front of me, the star is sitting, the 8-pointed star, which apparently she symbolized also sometimes as I understand, a 6-pointed star and a 16-pointed star, I think it is. I don't, they apparently they are not entirely sure what the different stars are representing or whatever. But usually an 8-pointed star is usually what she's represented at. But sometimes when you look at these Sumerian photos, apparently, as I understand it, the characters are sometimes represented as this particular false pagan god and all that. And sometimes you see the symbols for one of them, and then you see one of the gods in personite form, and apparently Inanna Easter is sometimes in regard to the lion. Apparently, lion is seemingly. There's other things that apparently is. I don't know much about this. I'm just trying the best that I can do with what I have. But anyway, so I'm just looking at this and the so-called Mary, right? And she's just sitting there. It's like, okay, the moon, that's one. And we have the sun, okay, that's one. So where's the star? And I'm looking. I was like, oh, where's the star? Hey, there might have been a star someplace on this thing, hidden away. I don't know, I didn't see it in 3D and all that, whatever, But she's just sitting there. She's sitting in front of me. Just in front of me, And she's sitting on the moon. There we go, the pagan triad, just right there, on the so-called mercy seat, which is made like a mercy seat. She's sitting just right there. She's representing Easter, that's so-called Mary. She's representing the Queen of Heaven, right? Mary is called what? The Queen of Heaven by the Roman Catholics. She's sitting right there on the mercy seat with the moon god underneath her and the sun god in her breast, and she is herself Easter. She is Inanna. She is Venus, the Queen of Heaven. There we go. The pagan trinity right there and alive in our days, just in front of our noses. And, now it it begins to make all these puzzle pieces and all that totally, it begins to, you see it, just ding, 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 right? Connecting all the dots, like in regards to all these pagan traditions that we have. It's all around us in this, Isn't it interesting that the Mohammedans have the moon as a symbol, like on mosque and all that? I actually saw a mosque where they had the moon and the star inside of, So, which actually is, an interesting symbol to use if you go back in regards of paganism. Yeah. Yeah. So, but usually you see this mosque with just the moon, or whatever direct, the sliver of the moon. But I guess if one went around, it's like the Roman Catholics. You have a little here and a little there and a little there. You also have what in the Vatican. I think it's so-called Mary that holds what? Oh, you would think she's holding a child, right? No, she's holding the sun. Oh yes, a solar thing she's holding in her hand, representing the sun. Isn't that interesting? Because in paganism, that's Shamash. Shamash is the sun god. That's Uto in regards of Sumeria, which is actually Sinaria. That's the first place, they call it Sumeria, or Sumer, which is actually biblical, is Shinar. It's Shinaria. Shinaria would be So, anyway, so she's sitting there with the sun, and they're just putting it in the face of us. The child represents the sun deity. So, who is so-called Mary, then? The pagan goddess. The pagan goddess. The Queen of Heaven, right? That's what they called her. That's the pagan goddess. Seems to also be led to a lot of other pagan names. Seems like there's, but I haven't really figured out in regards of the, you see, you have in Jewish, they have the Talmud, the Babylonian Talmud, they have Jewish mysticism and the Kabbalah and all that bullshit and all that pagan bullshit. But they have Shekinah. What is Shekinah? Well, that's apparently but apparently rephrased also as the consort of God. It's just so she is, according to these traditions, is the consort of God. I don't know if I haven't gone deeper into Jewish mysticism in regards to finding out where they have the child. If it's like, if Shekinah is representing Easter or Inanna, and they picked it, they might have picked it up. And I guess, let's talk about Queen of Heaven in regards of Jeremiah, the days of Jeremiah. And that would be before they were taken into Babylon. They're already at it with the Queen of Heaven, and God is angry, and and they say, hey, we didn't have these problems when we were doing these things to the Queen of Heaven and all that bullshit. Oh, give me a break. Anyway, so they stubbornly continue to do that. You have to, stiff neck, that's for sure. Necks of iron. It's just incredible. We have a problem. Closing down there. Yeah. So I don't know in regards to that Shekinah, which is and they do some wicked things in regards to this, and invite this female spirit into the household at the beginning of the Sabbath and all that, and apparently also when they do the movement, there we go. Apparently it's like a sexual union. I can't even. It's like incredible. Apparently it's like a sexual union with. Okay. Yeah. Whatever. I do wonder. I do wonder where we have the child in all this. They must have the. You can also see images of so-called Shekinah. I've seen that. So I wonder in regards to some of the symbols as well. I wonder if there was some symbols that actually. Sometimes you see the symbols of, and then you see symbols of the sun in the middle of it. So, there's a lot of things that I still don't. There's probably a lot of data points out there that I could, research and all that and get more. I don't really want to go into all these pagan bullshit things, But on the other hand, it's a way to discern, like, you don't really need to know these things, but it's still to get some more how Satan is working and what he's, what we have to be careful of, right? And of course, it does seem to think in regards of the Elohim, in regards to the plural form that is used to pagan gods, that we know they had these triads of gods already. So that might be a reason why they are actually pointed out as plural as well. And I think we are mistranslating the Bible pretty much when we translate it as singular instead of plural. But, it might actually, instead of just, well, there's only one, there's only one name, so we'll translate as singular. Well, maybe there's one name, but maybe there's actually some plurality in regards to these pagan, demon deities as well, in regards of, Satan is a copycat, yet he has a way of twisting things and turning things upside down and so forward. So, anyway. Anyway. Mixing truth with lies is, and turning things upside down or, just twisting. He's really good at it. We really should not in any way underestimate the devil. If we do that, we fall into his schemes, If we underestimate the devil and don't, pay attention, we will be, he's very deceptive. He knows his craft. That's the master deceiver, pretty much. He's the one that will lead us astray. If so, and the closer we can get to the truth, the harder it becomes for him to actually deceive us and lead us astray. When you know. There's many examples of that, and one example is, for example, in regards of Yeshua or Jesus. Who is Yeshua? Well, Yeshua is the Son of God and God in flesh, who was sent by the Father from the heavens into the world. And the living bread that was sent from the heavens was broken, and for a ransom for us, and resurrected 3 days later. The wine poured out for the sins of the world. So when the devil then comes to say, no, Yeshua was only a prophet, or Yeshua is a cookie, or Yeshua is an ascended master, one of many, or Yeshua is an enlightened person, just a Buddha and Muhammad, or Yeshua is a druid from England, or Yeshua was a Egyptian, magician, or whatever, what's it called, Egyptian. Magician, I guess. He was a guru from India, and so on and so on and so on and so on. It just keeps on continuing. You can pretty much, no, that's not true. You can reject all these lies, all these deceptions. You can reject them because you know who Yeshua is. And, just grab a hold on the truth and reject the devil. In regards of we can see the same problems in regards of who's the Antichrist. The devil have huge amount of decoys out there. He just put out the market on many, many decoys in regards of who's the Antichrist. I think the Antichrist is over there. Oh, I think the Antichrist is over there, there, whatever I know. Oh, maybe this guy is the Antichrist. Maybe this one, that one, whatever. Well, all the Protestants knew who the Antichrist was. Maybe because they're reading the Bible, like the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation, and was studying and actually, knowing history, and So they all Protestants knew who the Antichrist was. And yet, in our days, so few know who the Antichrist is. And I'll tell you who it is. It's the papacy, what they call papacy. I call it poopacy, And we are heading for poop doom. So-called New World Order and all that. Anyway, but yeah, that dynasty of these people in the office and seat of the papacy are representing the beast, the Roman beast of the number 666, which has Babylonian characteristics. It has Medo-Persian characteristics, and it has Grecian characteristics, and of course it's Roman. So of course it has Roman characteristics as well. So anyway, and it's been here for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And yet, Satan is out there trying to, make this fat smokescreen of fartiness all over the world, pretty much. And it's hard to see through it. Anyway, and not many people are actually standing for the truth, because it's not political correct. Well, who wants to be political correct anyway? Because the highest political, authority in this world is the poop anyway. So who wants to follow that, right? The great stinking white poop, that unholy faker, okay? He's the high pagan priest of what? Well, Constantine was the Pontifex Maximus, like the Pope is the Pontifex Maximus today. So what was Constantine? Oh yeah, he was the high pagan priest of Mithra Sol Invictus. You know who that is? That's the pagan solar god, the sun god, the S-U-N god and all that. And it's still, it's really problematic in regards to the English with the sun and sun. It's really hard, it's just, well, we don't have that problem in English or Hebrew or, it's just pretty much in English. Anyway, so I guess that's all for me, And we're actually closing for the first day of the week here in Denmark. It's 16:04, and I think the sunset is, 2 minutes ago. So pretty much we are entering the beginning day of the week. So Shavua Tov, have a good week, as they say in Hebrew. Shavua Tov, that's Shavua Tov. And Tov is good and Shavua is week. So Shavua, week, and Tov, good. Have a good week, pretty much in English. So yeah, I've been, just thinking here and there. It's like sometimes you just see the puzzle pieces beginning to connect and all that, and that's interesting. I really don't want to use more time on this, but I'm being. It seems like I'm being pulled in that direction a little. In regards, I want to know how it all functions together. In some sense. So we can see, isn't it interesting? The crosses they use in Egypt in regards of these. Now, of course, we already know it was a pagan symbol anyway, but they use these crosses with a thing on top of it, and apparently sometimes it seems to actually represent the sun, the solar deity, or something. I can't remember overall, but of course they're talking about reincarnation. It's also a symbol for reincarnation as far as I remember, and then it wouldn't be a surprise because Satan has a way of promoting reincarnation, which is a foolish doctrine of the devil and have nothing to do with the truth. But in Sumeria, I've seen pictures that, as far as I know, and these pictures was from Sumeria, and lo and behold, what is on these pictures? Well, the Egyptian cross, the Egyptian cross that what do they call these people? Coptics. Oh yeah. So the cross that the Coptics are using are found on, symbols in regards to Sumeria. That's like the beginning of civilization. It's just all this pagan bullshit seems to pretty much go back to Sumeria. Now, of course, we know it's Babylonian things that is in the beast. So again, there might be some things that are a little different in regards of what this beast have from the Babylonians, because as we know, things have a way of evolving or it changing a little here and a little there in regards of story. You stay the same with the pagan bullshit of traditions and all that. You see a little there and goes from one nation to another nation, and then forward and backward, and forward and changes a little, and then backward to whatever. All these bullshit things and all that. So it's not a surprise that So there might be some variations from Babylonia in regards of the things from Sumeria, because Sumeria is the beginning of civilization, and Babylonians in regards of Nebuchadnezzar, which is representing the first beast of four in the book of Daniel. Well, that represents the beginning of Nebuchadnezzar. That's the golden head on the statue. So how it had evolved to that point in regards of paganism, from Sumeria to that time of Babylonia getting rule, there might be some variations, some here and there, but it seems like the symbols and the overall thing seems to So yeah, but yeah, there's probably a lot more information out there that it seems to be hiding it somewhat away. They want to talk about all these different other gods and all that, but they don't want to talk about the Trinity or Triad of the moon and the sun and Venus and all that. They seem to, there was but it's like they try to go around that. Okay, we don't want to talk about that, and we want to talk about everything else, and just make it like, oh yeah, this and that. If you go on the encyclopedia, you can find this triad trinity written in different encyclopedias and different sources here and there. It is in some sense known, but yet it seems to be a thing they try to hide. It's a little weird to explain, but yeah, it seems to try to hide it, and yet the information is out there. In regards of there's still more that I have trouble with to. I did write the English Museum, and I have yet to receive anything from them. Now, of course, they did say that could go up to 10 days, so I guess I'll wait 10 days to and see what happens. And if they don't reply, maybe I should just call them up and ask them. That's one way of doing it. That's directly just going to the. That'll be one way. But sometimes it's nice to have things in paper and all that. So yeah, I don't know. The laws of stealing. Oh, no, sorry, gods of stealing according to some things. Yeah. Well, anyway. Yep. I think I'm pretty much done. It's just the arguments that it has been just like, yeah, it is interesting. Why would the Bible be using plural terms for pagan gods? Well, maybe because these pagans these pagan so-called gods, fake gods, demons or whatever you want, seems like it's also connected with ancestor worship. That these so-called gods was maybe actually alive in the past and was made into gods. But anyway, there seems to be some links for that as well. Anyway, whatever the case. But if they already had a triad, you see some of these symbols where you see, plurality in the, yeah. So again, even if it uses plural, it might be talking about, one, but yet having plurality. Maybe they knew something that we don't know. Maybe God knew something we don't know today. Or maybe it's just because we are just ignorant of it because we don't do our own research and we don't care anymore pretty much so about the truth. I don't know. Anyway, but every single translation nearly out there pretty much translate as God, singular. It's like God said, let us make man in our image and our likeness, and yet the word is plural in Hebrew. Isn't that interesting? Wouldn't it make more sense to the gods said, let us make man in our image and our likeness? We have the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit working from the very beginning, So wouldn't that make sense? The gods and the spirit of the gods was hovering over the waters. Doesn't that make much more sense? When you have Elohim in regards of plural in the Bible, and yet no translators pretty much none actually does that, we have some that actually put in Elohim instead, so that's halfway at least. So you can see that it's actually a plural word, but that's Hebrew, of course. But yeah, anyway, yeah. And of course, let us go down and confuse their languages and all that. You see the plurality from the very beginning in the Bible. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for me, and I'm going to go again. Let's speak the truth and stand on the truth and promote the truth and don't get money for that, in regards of, we shouldn't sell the truth, because if we begin to sell the truth, it stops the progress of getting the truth out there, because people are not interested. A lot of people are not interested in the truth. So if people begin to sell the truth, it's just that it doesn't compute with me in some sense, because how are you going to get people to look at something that they're not interested in the first place, and then want them to pay money for it, a thing that they might have looked on if it was free, but if it was costing money, they wouldn't see a reason for looking at it anyway. So there might be a small chance they might have looked on it if it was freely available. But if you're selling it for money, the chance of them actually seeing it is like near zero, at least in regard. Anyway, at least then you need, as a Christian, to buy the things and give it to them. Again, then there's a chance they might see it because they get it for free. Yeah, so I guess that's one way of doing it, But when people do research and they, and instead of just putting it out there, they want money for the information. It just stops the progress for others looking for the truth, because they might not be able to actually, have the resources to pay for that. Or there might be other things that can be problematic in regards of just getting the material, and in our days where we have the internet and all that, we have the possibility of just getting the truth out there. We have a world where billions and billions and billions of people are deceived and are following Satan, and then you see the truth being sold. It's just I don't understand that. I really don't understand that idea, and that's selling anyway, that's just me. That's one thing is to have a donation where people can donate and all that, but I just, in regards to selling the things, just it's I can see for myself that I'm stopped or blocked sometimes in regards of learning about things, because it's money, money, money. Oh, great. Anyway, yeah. Well, that's just my view. I hate and copyright. Copyright is of the devil. Who said anyone could copyright the word of God? Have to be kidding me. And then they make all these translations and all that. And they have to make variations in these translations to get able, to be allowed to copyright and all that. So the translation might actually be a lot harder to read, or the words that is chosen could maybe not be the words that is much more the better words, because they have to have variation from other copies of the Bible to actually put a copyright on that. The insanity of this world. Anyway, I guess I'll stop. Have a good one, all of you, and Shavua Tov, have a good week, have a great week, and may Yehovah be with you and bless you. And Yeshua, his son, be a most precious pearl, and don't let go of him when you have him, because Satan will try to take him from you, take the faith from you. And anyway, and the spirit of truth, be in us all. Amen. Have a good one, all of you. Bye-bye. Shalom. Yeah.